Hey everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter. Thanks for stopping by today. Today I have a very special project. It's a part of Laura Stirk's 10,000 YouTube followers. She's celebrating that 10,000 mark. Congratulations, Laura. If you don't follow Laura, she is a lot of fun to watch. And the reason that I chose this Sock Monkey surprise stamp set today is because when I think of Laura, she always likes to do fun little critters. I don't do critters that often, but I decided for this project today, in honor of Laura, I was going to go ahead and pull out this Sock Monkey surprise stamp set from the Essentials by Ellen line and make a fun card. Now, Laura also does quite a bit of Copic coloring, and so I, of course, busted out my Copics for this. And I've gone ahead and left the coloring in here, but I've sped it up. Now, this is 5 times. I am like the slowest colorer ever. But this is 5 times as fast as what I actually color. And what I did was I started out by adding the W5, which is my darkest gray color, onto the monkey. And then I blended it out with the W2. Now, for the tummy parts and the hands and the end of the tail and that muzzle part, is that his muzzle? His nose and mouth part, I used E000 and E01. So I added in the light and then I went back with the dark and then I blended it out with the light. And I'm doing the same pattern with the balloons as well. For the blue balloon, I used the BG11 and the BG13. For my pink balloon, I'm using R20 and R21. And then I'm going to do a green balloon, and I'm going to use the YG quadruple 0. It's a lot of zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And then I'll blend, the darker color is the YG01, so I'll blend that in on the side. And I'm keeping all of my darker colors, darker shading on the left-hand side of these balloons. Now, I don't know why. Probably because the highlight part that's on the balloon already is on the right-hand side, so it made sense to me that the darker part would be on the left-hand side. But when it comes to coloring, I have no science. I just do what feels right to me. So once I get these all colored in, I am going to use the coordinating dies. I'm holding them in place with a little micro pour tape, and I'm running them through my Sizzix Big Shot. And while I have my Big Shot out, I'm going to go ahead and create the window that's going to go on the front of my card base as well as the card front. So there's going to be 2 layers of window here. And you're going to be able to see all the way through to the inside of the card. Now, I love to do this, and I like to do it with shakers as well, and Laura does a ton of shakers, so if you want some shaker card ideas, go ahead and go on over there. But I am going to just do kind of a window card today. Because I want these windows to be in the exact same spot on both the card front and the card base, I'm going to take my card front, I'm going to lay it on top of my card base, and I'm going to hold those 2 pieces of paper together with some micro pour tape. Now, I did neutralize this micro pour tape on the back of my hand before I put it on my paper. When you run it through the die cut machine, it can really get pressed on there. And so make sure that you're neutralizing whatever you're using, or if you feel confident just sending it through without taping it in place, go ahead and do that. But I am not confident with that. So I have this circle die. This is going to be the smaller of the 2 circle dies that I use. And I went ahead and I cut through both layers, both the card base and the card front. Now, these circle dies are from the My Favorite Things circle stacks. I'm using both the 1 and 2 circle stacks. That gives me all the circles that I need. And now I'm taking 1 die larger, and I'm going around the circle that I cut in the card front, and I'm making it larger. And you're going to see why, because I'm going to layer up that gold glitter behind there, and it's going to create a frame around it. So now that I have that all kind of cut out and ready to go, I also use my die cut machine to cut out some little clouds from some masking paper, and I'm going to put them onto this window sheet material or acetate material, and I'm going to do, you guessed it, a little Copic airbrushing. Yes, I went ahead and purchased the whole kit and caboodle of the Copic airbrush system. I jumped in with both feet. I got the compressor. I had like the starter kit before where you could use the air cans, but a couple weeks ago I got the compressor, so I'm like, I bought this thing and I'm gonna use it. So I am just airbrushing on some BG13 And then I'm going to go back with BG18 right here and just add a little bit of darkness just here and there around the clouds. And then when I remove this masking paper from this acetate sheet, you're going to see that I have these really cool clouds. Now, when they're laid against the white card base, you can really see them. Super cool. I didn't want them quite so stark, the contrast. So what I did was I went back to my BG13 marker and I just barely misted over the top. In fact, this might be the BG11. I might have gone even lighter and just barely misted over the top. Now, remember when you're airbrushing on acetate, your color's going to appear lighter than what it will on just regular paper. So sometimes you have to go a little bit darker than you think. But I always say start light, build up, because you can always build the color up, but you can't take it away. Does that make sense? So now that I have that all airbrushed, I'm adding a little bit of tape runner adhesive around the window on the card base, and I'm going to attach my acetate piece to where you can see the little clouds peeking through that window. And I am going to make sure that I put this acetate shiny side up. So when you airbrush the acetate, the side that you actually add the ink to gets kind of a little bit of a frosty look to it. And that's all fine and dandy if that's the look that you're going for. But I wanted the shiny side up, so I made sure that I put the shiny side up. Now you can see here, I've taken a piece of gold glitter cardstock and I've used that smaller circle die to cut a hole out of that as well. And this is going to create a frame around my window. Now, because the card front has a circle window that's a little bit bigger, you're going to see just a little bit of that gold peeking out from the window, around the window. And I just thought it was a fun way to add a little gold glitter cardstock because, you know, I need to add my gold glitter cardstock. So before I put everything down, I'm going ahead and just testing everything out to see that I like it and that I have it all good, and it's all good. So I have a little bit of foam tape on the back of this card front. I'm going to go ahead and remove the backer, and I'm going to position that to where it's right over that window, and I had to get down right on top of it to see it. And then I've added some foam tape to the back of my balloons as well. I've used one layer of foam tape on the blue balloon and on the pink balloon, and on the green balloon I used a double layer of foam tape so that there was a little bit of varying dimension among those. Now, you guys, you keep seeing my head pop into this video here. I am so sorry about that. I have just recently redone my camera mount. I went ahead and mounted it to the ceiling of my craft room, and I'm getting used to the fact that my head keeps popping in now. So I'm sorry about that. My red hair is getting in the way, but that's just kind of how it is when you're getting used to new things. So to hide the adhesive on the back, I've gone ahead and cut those balloons out again out of some plain white cardstock. And I'm just using some tape runner adhesive to hide those balloons on the back. You can do that if you want to hide the adhesive. If it doesn't bother you, then just leave it as it is. Now on this little sock monkey guy, because his arm's going to be peeking through the window, I'm not going to put adhesive on his arm, but I didn't want that inky kind of bleed through showing through the window. So I went ahead and just cut out another one of the sock monkeys, and I attached it together with some tape runner adhesive. So that's just some regular Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. And that's going to cover up that ink bleed through that I have on the back of the sock monkey, so that when you see him through the window, you won't see the ink bleed through. Now, like I mentioned, I am not putting adhesive on his little arm that's going to stick up into the window, so I don't have to worry about hiding the adhesive. I just was doing that to hide the ink bleed through. Now, what is a balloon without some twine? And I thought the twine was a perfect way to pull in a little bit more of that gold that I have going around the window. It's just another way to kind of tie in that gold accent. So I'm using a little bit of twine that has some gold metallic threads through it. And I've cut 3 lengths of it, and I've tied little knots on the end. And I'm just using some multi-medium in the matte finish to attach those to my balloon. And then I'm going to take a heavy acrylic block and just lay it over the top of those and let those set up and dry. And while that dries, I'm going to go ahead and work on my sentiment. So the sentiment also comes from the Sock Monkey Surprise Stamp Set. I have cut a little wavy banner. This is from a My Favorite Things blueprints, or are they called blueprints? I'll have it linked in the description below. But this die is from one of the My Favorite Thing blueprints die collection, and I love this little wavy die. But the sentiment says happy birthday, and there wasn't room for both happies on this banner. So what I did was I went ahead and just partially inked that happy so that I only got one of those happies. So now it says happy birthday instead of happy birthday. So I inked those up in some Versamark ink, and I, of course, prepped the surface prior to stamping because it is on vellum and I don't want the static cling to interfere with my crisp, clean stamping. I added some superfine detail white embossing powder to that stamped sentiment, and then I went ahead and heat embossed it with my heat tool. Now that these strings have set up, I went ahead and pulled them all together and tied a knot in them. I'm going to attach them to my little sock monkey's hand using a little bit of that multi-medium in the matte finish. And I'm attaching my sock monkey onto the card base, or the card front here, using some foam adhesive, and I'm just going to let that hand kind of hang over. So these balloons kind of look like they're pulling him up off the ground and he's flying away. So my card's all completed now, and now I'm just going to finish this off by attaching those strings into his hand using that multi-medium matte. And I'm going to attach the sentiment piece onto the card base using the tiniest sliver of foam adhesive. And what I'm doing is I'm just hiding it behind that embossing that's there. And I've gone ahead and trimmed off the end so that it's kind of like a blunt cut on that left edge so that it'll line up with the card edge there. And then I'm going to finish the card off by adding some shimmery and shiny details. So I've gone ahead and added a layer of the Spectrum Noir clear overlay sparkle glitter pen to the balloons, so they're all nice and sparkly. I added a little bit of glossy accents into that glare portion of the balloons to make them really shine. And then I'm finishing it off with a little scattering of some sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. And I just used the multimedia matte adhesive to adhere those on. So that completes my card project for today. Like I said, I kind of used Laura as my inspiration for this project. I wanted to do a little bit of Copic coloring, and I of course wanted to include a critter because I just feel like that's so true to Laura. She always does such fun things. This is a part of a 10,000 YouTube subscriber video hop, so be sure to check the description below for information on where to go for the next hop, and there are also prizes involved. You can find more information about that over on my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. You can also see more still shots and find more information over there. I will have links to the featured supplies in the YouTube description below, but I will have a complete list of supplies over on my blog, so be sure you go on over there and check it out. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this project, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.